Alright, this is Exploring the SCP Foundation 3 Portlands by the Exploring series. Now, when I think of 3 Portlands, for some reason I actually think of Portland, the city, but I'm kind of confused on what this one might be. So, let's get right on into it.
3 Portlands. Much of the events that occur in the SCP universe follow a similar pattern. An anomaly makes an appearance, the
Mm-hmm.
SCP Foundation becomes aware of the anomaly, and more often than not, they contain said anomaly.
Uh,
While there are a large number of paranatural humans or humanoids contained by the Foundation, it makes you wonder how many are not contained. Surely not every anomalous sapient creature makes itself aware to the Foundation, and sometimes perhaps they manage to evade Foundation capture. The place I'll be discussing today is one where anomalous entities can live in relative peace and harmony, separated from the rest of humanity, but not hunted down by the Foundation.
so, the place that we're going to be talking about today is a safe haven by, in itself for SCPs to go if they don't want to do anything against humans, but also don't want to be hunted down by the SCP Foundation or to be researched or, God forbid, decommissioned or killed, basically. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. It's a lot. My brain's trying to wrap its head around it, and the way it's doing that is uh, basically there was a film where this entirely other species decided to make a almost hide themselves away in order to protect themselves. It was like orcs or something like that.
3 Portlands is a little different than a lot of other SCP concepts, and perhaps it's more than a little reminiscent of things like the wizarding world of Harry Potter, but that's just part of what makes the SCP universe so interesting. 3 Portlands is currently entirely made up of various tales, with no actual SCP articles, but this video will just be looking at the area itself. In short, 3 Portlands is an extra-dimensional space that exists outside of our normal universe, roughly 70 square kilometers in size. It is accessible through multiple portals.
Quick question: can I get that measurement, but in freedom units? Cause I don't know kilometers. I'll be honest. I'll be 100% honest. I don't know how big we're talking. What I will say is that this looks very cyberpunkish, and I just heard him say that there are multiple portals to the 3 Portlands. Is there a story about where like the SCP Foundation do go to 3 Portlands, or is it strictly only SCPs can go here? Because if you have the SCP able to go there, but they're just not able to, capture any to actually go back with them, then I feel like that would be a almost a pretty cool concept with some of the tales.
Or ways, found in Portland, Oregon, Portland, Maine, and the Isle of Portland in the UK, thus 3 Portlands. It's believed to have been first created sometime after the incorporation of Portland, Oregon in 1851, probably in the 1880s. Exactly who or what
3 Portlands isn't quite this developed or populated, but it's hard to find art of 3 Portlands and easy to find cyberpunk art. Okay,
formed the
I was
extra
about to
dimensional
say, this
space
looks great.
and for what purpose is unknown. But it was already populated by the end of the 19th century, and in 1905, the British Occult Service negotiated the usage of 3 Portlands to house Shi refugees from the collapsing kingdom of Avalon. The specifics of these Shi entities are unclear as far as the SCP universe is concerned, but the Shi are creatures from Irish and Scottish mythology, commonly referred to as fairies or elves.
Ah,
The she that ended up staying in Three Portlands would greatly influence its future development, as the British Occult Service got caught up with earthly matters, leaving the residents of Three Portlands to govern themselves. The principal entity of Three Portlands is known as a Genius Loci, basically a protective spirit inherently tied to its existence. This spirit is sentient, as the BOS had negotiated with it to allow for the refugees, and they continued under the belief that the Genius Loci controlled the city, despite the formation of a city council by the residents. In 1922, however, the city council made an amendment to their city charter proclaiming that the Genius Loci is officially the mayor of Three Portlands.
makes
In
sense.
practice, the mayor rarely participates in decisions made by the council, and the council does not often even communicate with the mayor, leading many citizens to believe that the mayor doesn't even exist.
To be fair, it makes sense with the way that they're having this thing structured power wise. Because if he's the spirit that had to be, reasoned with in order for them to come in, it would make sense that he be the highest power. And if he's the spirit of this place, then he probably knows exactly what everything is happening within here. So it would make complete sense for him to be, the mayor. Uh, I do find it strange that there's not a lot of talking between this council and the mayor, but at the same time, it makes a little bit of sense. I now want to know if there is a video discussing fairies because when you say fairies, two different ones pop in my head. There is the nice, helpful ones that are normally depicted within TV shows and all, and then there are the unfortunate Hell spawn from Hellboy. And I'm really hoping we're not talking Hellboy ones.
Without any sort of policing agents within the city, however, paranormal criminals began using Three Portlands as a safe haven to evade earthly authorities, particularly US custom agents, who were unaware of the existence of the city.
Mm.
Eventually, the BOS returned their attention to Three Portlands, realizing the importance of concealing its existence from other paranatural organizations. Despite their efforts, however, the US government became aware of Three Portlands in 1929, after Prohibition agents tracked a bootlegging group known as the Chicago Spirit to the city. The situation was concealed and handed over to the Bureau of Investigation, directed at the time by J. Edgar Hoover. Hoover pretty much went to war with the people of Three Portlands, launching numerous raids into the city, eventually culminating in a firefight between US agents and the city council. Afterwards, Hoover blocked off all portals leading in or out of the city, arresting anyone who attempted to use them. This siege lasted for 2 months, until the US president negotiated with the council to allow them their autonomy. But in return, US federal agents would be allowed to operate within Three Portlands to a limited degree. The city council agreed out of fear of a full-scale war, despite protests from many of the city's residents.
I'm not even surprised that America decided to shoot first, ask questions later. Was there any peace talk? Nope. They walked in, tried strangling two of the entryways, and were trying to get into a firefight with everybody. We agreed simply to make sure that they didn't drop the sun on us. I mean, Jesus Christ. As soon as it said, hey, this is, right, is this time period? Yeah, I know. Oh, this ain't too far from when we were working on, suns. And I'm pretty sure that if America had knew about this during that time, we would have probably snuck one in there to, hey, I wonder what happens if we do this.
The British didn't really care for this arrangement, as they weren't too keen on Three Portlands remaining autonomous, and they also didn't want US agents poking around. With the Seventh Occult War breaking out in 1939, the British Occult Service abandoned their claim to 3 Portlands to the FBI's Unusual Incidents Unit in exchange for some wartime concessions.
Mm.
The Seventh Occult War coincided with World War II, as Axis occultists fought against the precursors to the Global Occult Initiative. 3 Portlands would be used to transport supplies and personnel between North America and Britain, and so eventually the city came under attack from Nazi occult forces.
Now, part of me does wish this thing actually existed because that would have helped so much in real life. And I'm just now realizing I'm an idiot. I got my presidents messed up. I did. I forgot exactly which presidents were where, and I thought that Hoover was after World War II, and I'm just now realizing where exactly he was. My bad. Completely mistaken. Uh, if it's not yet obvious, I'm not awake yet. Um, but now that I realize, okay, they were friendly during World War II to us. If they're now being invaded by Nazis, they're or Yahtzees, uh, YouTube. There is a high likelihood of some of the paranormal probably getting a disdain towards people probably soon.
Thanks to combined efforts of the UIU, the BOS, and citizens of the city, the attack was repelled. After the war, as more paranatural organizations came into existence, and more efforts were made by various governments to conceal the paranormal from the public, more and more anomalous entities were forced out of urban areas. Many of the entities found refuge in 3 Portlands, and in 1956, Prometheus Laboratories began using the city for their parascientific research. Things went pretty smoothly for 3 Portlands after that, with the UIU and the GOC both letting the city retain most of their autonomy, and both working to conceal the city's existence, primarily from the group they considered the greatest threat to 3 Portland's autonomy, the SCP Foundation.
Mm.
Although the UIU is often looked at as an incompetent organization, it's quite impressive that they managed to conceal 3 Portlands from the Foundation until 1970. Because of this, the UIU were seen quite favorably by many 3 Portlands residents, and a number of them would join the UIU as irregular agents. Despite the fears associated with the Foundation, though, 3 Portlands continued to exist much as it had been. The paratech industry continued to grow in the city for some time, until the GOC decided they wanted a bit more oversight into what was going on in that field, so they formed their own free port called UrTech, where paranormal companies could develop technology sponsored by the GOC. In the wake of the Cold War, with the GOC bailing out a number of paratech companies in UrTech from bankruptcy, the waning paratech industry in 3 Portlands effectively collapsed. At the same time, a group known as the Lighthouse Mafia grew to prominence for their illegal smuggling of paratech through 3 Portlands.
Yeah, I should have realized that there would have been some form of mafia based. So far, the entire history of this sounds both A, very plausible, B, very well done, and 3, I'm really enjoying a lot of the art styles, even though it's not what it would actually look like. It helps give a little bit more of a understanding of how everything would kind of look. Um, there are a few questions I'm having, such as if America was, hiding them away from the SCP Foundation until 1970, what would have happened right after? Especially due to a lot of what the SCP Foundation has already, kind of went up against. Uh, Depending on which, of course, universe we're currently in, you've had the Factory, you have a Gate Guardian, Crimson, or the Scarlet King. I keep on saying Crimson Con. It's such a better name. Crimson Con is so much better. Anyway, I digress. You have the Skull, you have Burnt Peanut, you have 096, you have the Plague Doctor 049, you have 106, the Old Man, 231, the Brides, you've had uh apparently there's a giant reptile. I mean, there's so many awful ones that I'm surprised the SCP Foundation didn't find them sooner in order to uh try and understand if there's more helpful ones to then see if they will join the organization. Which apparently a lot of the paranormal ones here ended up joining the UIU. I hope I'm saying the right organization. Uh, but yeah, I'm a little confused there. And I'm even more confused because during the Cold War, it was more of a almost every business that seemed to be making weaponry in some form of way. If they weren't making weaponry, they were just making machines. So I'm a little confused on how these tech companies that were being sponsored would later go under. Because it seems like if anything was being sponsored, it would later be used to make specific stuff. However, knowing that there's British and American, I have a feeling that it's a power struggle there. And then with the Spirit and the own city's council on top of it, having three powerhouses try and control power within a city would clash heads.
Things began to recover for Three Portlands around 2000, when a native citizen named Vincent Anderson started a company known as Anderson Robotics. Anderson Robotics became one of the most successful paratech companies, and Anderson made a number of generous contributions to the city. Since Anderson was well loved by the people of Three Portlands, he knew he could circumvent and eventually disregard a number of restrictions on paratech development without the UIU acting against him. Due to the laws in place that only the UIU have overarching criminal jurisdiction in Three Portlands, the Foundation couldn't do much against Anderson either. This changed in 2018, however, when it was discovered that Anderson had used androids to infiltrate the US government.
Yep.
An arrest warrant was issued, and Anderson disappeared, although his company still continued to run. In 2024, Anderson was finally captured by a joint task force between the Foundation and the UIU during a raid on the Anderson Robotics headquarters in downtown Three Portlands. The overt action led to a sharp decline in the UIU's popularity amongst the residents.
Yep.
That about covers it for the broad topic of Three Portlands history. So let's move on to talking more about the city itself.
Okay, that was just a
Due to the
history.
formation of the pocket universe where Three Portlands is located, it's possible to see any point of the city from any other point, making it extremely disorienting for newcomers. There are no natural astronomical or meteorological events in the city, but the mayor, the genius Loki that controls Three Portlands, somehow provides a day-night cycle and various weather events. The sun position is roughly linked to Portland, Maine, and the weather, generally rain, emulates the current weather of the three Portland regions on Earth. Most curiously, the ground surface of the city constantly expands away from the city center at a typically imperceptible rate.
Okay, Lil, the way my brain's wanting to kind of put this together is almost like a pie chart, having three different points. With the sun, it said that it comes out of Portland, Maine, and that the weather events are from their respective parts. So if like it's rainy in the London part and it's sunny in the rest of it, it'd be like that. However, I'm a little confused about how it's talking about the ground, about how it's on the other side. My brain is thinking bowl, and it just occurred to me. A lot of this is Norse, and it said the Loki spirit. And I know we've had Cain and Abel within the Gate Guardian talk of SCP. Is it talking about the actual Norse god? Because if so, that'd be pretty funny. Hold on, let me go back.
Away from the city center at a typically imperceptible rate.
Yeah.
Additionally, approximately 3 miles from the city center in all directions is an impassable, invisible barrier placed by the mayor. The ground continues past it for a while until it eventually degrades into the nothingness of unspace. The barrier therefore marks the outer edge of the city, but buildings are continually, albeit slowly, pushed out of this barrier. This limits the maximum size of the city, as well as forcing inhabitants to continue to construct new buildings. There are some structures that are anchored in place, however, and do not move along with the other buildings, creating other problems in regards to street grids and the ground surface. Most of these anchored buildings were created by the mayor, although some have been created by certain residents. The city center is a large anchor point from which the expansion stretches outwards, and so it's the location of various government buildings. The immediate space around it is devoted to a public park, due to being the most affected by the expansion. Other anchor regions include Prometheus Plaza, Memorial Park, and the campus for the International Center for the Study of Unified Thaumatology. Although the UIU are responsible for any criminal investigations within the city, Three Portlands does have their own local police department, consisting of a small number of officers.
Okay, so the way that he described it there is, so the center is anchored. Those are your government buildings, the park, and then the rest of it is continually growing and stretching itself from that point, which means all the buildings and all are being pushed out the city, right, through this barrier, and would go to be disintegrated. What happens if somebody's in the buildings? Like, it accidentally get pushed out.
Supplemented by volunteers and security golems.
What's a
Their
security
primary
golem?
focus is on crime prevention, community outreach, event security, and assisting the UIU when necessary. The city itself is arranged along a polar grid, with a number of concentric rings of streets at irregular intervals spread out from the city center. Since these roads are not designed for motor vehicles, the City Council maintains a ban on personal automobiles and heavy vehicles, with only a few exemptions. Several cab companies instead operate auto rickshaws, which are capable of navigating through Three Portland's narrow streets. There is also a mass transit system based on trolleys that run along all the major streets, which are free to use for anyone except for members of the UIU, who have to pay $20 a month.
Oh, no, that's dumb.
This money apparently goes to the J. Edgar Hoover Defamation Fund. Speaking of currency, there is no local currency for Three Portlands, so instead most business is conducted using the US dollar and the British pound sterling. The barter system is also alive and well in the city, but often involves something called a GIAS contract. There are some specific details associated with it, but basically it's a limited form of mind control that forces an individual to follow through on a contract. This ensures that a deal properly goes through, but due to its potential for abuse, there have been calls for the outlawing of GIAS contracts.
Yep.
Water and electricity are all provided to the city by the mayor, but communication networks are not, making them a bit rougher around the edges. There is a citywide intranet that is not connected to the global internet, allowing for open communication between residents. This intranet has its own forms of social media, the most popular being Void, a local clone of Twitter.
Oh, God.
Prometheus Labs was responsible for providing...
I would hate to know what gets posted on Void. If it's anything like Twitter, it is god-awful. I know for a fact.
Providing connections to the global internet. And after the company's breakup, the city purchased a 50% stake in the subsidiary responsible for the internet connections, turning it into a municipal ISP. Outgoing internet traffic is required to pass through UIU filters to make sure the global public doesn't learn anything they shouldn't, which
Ah.
slows things down. I mentioned security golems before, as artificially created golems comprise almost the entire labor force in 3 Portlands. The local golem makers union, Golemancy United, maintains significant political and economic power in the city because of this. Golems are involved in manufacturing, construction, sanitation, and transit, allowing many residents to pursue creative and scientific endeavors in lieu of working. This, of course, has led to widespread unemployment across the city, as
Ah.
Golemancy United has fought to put off any ordinances about restricting the number of golems a company can employ. This is why the paratech industry is so prominent in 3 Portlands, as golems can't handle the sensitive manufacturing of paranatural technology. There is a large number of venture capital funded startups throughout the city, most failing within the first few months. As for education, there's no public school system within 3 Portlands, as citizens have feared that either the local government or perhaps other governments could use it for indoctrination.
Mm-hmm.
Most non-humans within the city utilize community schools, as the human population has the option of enrolling in one of the earthly Portland schools, a practice discouraged by the UIU. Homeschooling is, of course, also popular, and there are a handful of private for-profit schools.
I feel like for schooling, there's a easy workaround for them, because there is a certain type of schooling where you enroll online. I can't remember exactly the name of it. But there's a lot of different examples of people getting enrolled into a school where they do it strictly online. They never meet professors. They sit through a class on a computer. The only issue is that a lot of these would probably be based in uh, the U.S. or really in the real world. So this little pocket dimension, there would be a slowdown due to the uh, what you call it, the filter that the UIU has. So in order for them to do the over the internet one, I have a feeling that there would have to be not really a US base, but I do think that would probably help the most with 3 Portlands is have a almost like a building that is strictly for the pairs to go to and then be able to do their schooling, but not be taught by an actual teacher there, but instead be enrolled online in order for them to do schoolwork.
3 Portland's Community College is the largest university in the city, open to all Portland's residents, and offering 2 and 4-year degree programs in both mundane and paranormal fields. It's not considered an occult college, though, due to only teaching introductory level thaumatology. The largest occult college is the 3 Portlands branch of the International Center for the Study of Unified Thaumatology, which offers extended degree programs focusing on advanced occult studies. ICSUT Portlands has the highest levels of enrollment of any ICSUT campus, attracting students from across the globe. It also receives a large share of the GOC's research contracts, partners with local companies on major research projects, and employs a large number of the city's residents. As for the residents themselves, about 80,000 people permanently reside in the city as calculated by the UIU, but a number of people pass through the city every day.
Mm.
As many as 2,000 live in one of the adjacent Portlands on Earth and commute to 3 Portlands for work each day, and many more travel to the city occasionally for supplies and services. Samples of the population asked about their nationality show that the majority are American or native to 3 Portlands, a small percentage being British or She, and some of them coming from elsewhere, or instead declaring that nations aren't real. As for species, About 80% of the population is either human or parahuman, including cyborgs, psychics, minor reality benders, biologically modified, or shapeshifters. 13% are she, 3% are ghosts, and the rest are either intelligent animals, amorphous shapeshifters, spirits, major reality benders, or conceptual entities.
Mm.
Individual expression and liberty is highly valued among the residents, most of them distrustful of authority. Almost half of them identify as having no religious affiliation, although only 5% identify as atheists, and 3% identify as anti theists, individuals that believe in one or more gods and possess a desire to destroy them.
Ah.
The largest conventional religion is Shi ancestor veneration, with about 12% of the population, and Maxwellism, a branch of the Church of the Broken God, with 11%. I think after hearing about
There's actually one that I have to react to, The Broken God, because that one was actually probably one of the more interesting ones, for myself. One of the strange things now that I'm thinking of is the, three Portlands. What would happen if what would happen if one of the already, SCPs that I've reacted to would end up here? Because it doesn't seem like, sure, there's some form of crime that would probably happen in Three Portlands, but it doesn't seem like the type of crime that would really be harmful. Uh, Minor theft, bootlegging, theft, um, you know, selling stuff without, proper taxing or anything like that. Um, but it seems like anything that would be considered really dangerous, none of those SCPs are in Three Portlands. So it's more like I don't know the best word to describe it.
Three Portlands, you probably either like it or hate it. You can either see the fun potential of such a place existing
Yeah.
in the SCP universe and its similarities to the Wizarding World or Sigil from Planescape, or you might think such a city has no place in the SCP universe. The beauty of SCP, of course, is that you can very easily take or leave any part of it. Personally, I enjoy little pockets of imagination such as Three Portlands, a place where nothing really overtly horrific or unimaginable might happen, but is ripe for anomalous tales.
The City of Three Portlands is the largest paranormal enclave in the United States, or within our jurisdiction at least. I'm still not super clear on the semantics of this multiverse stuff, but what that means is that you're going to see things you've never seen before. Things you've never thought possible before. Anarchists and wizards are just the tip of the iceberg. We've got cyborgs, talking dogs, demigods, ghosts, psychics, shapeshifters, fairies, and gods know what else in this town. Most of them are human or humanish. Some of them aren't. So try to keep an open mind. We're the outsiders here. When in doubt, act like a Boy Scout, helpful, courteous, and prepare for the end of the world. Special Agent Keith Spencer, orientation for incoming agents of the UIU's 3 Portland Field Office 2016. So that would be 2 years before the government issue and 8 years before they finally caught him, I think. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I really like that. I'll be honest. The Exploring series is doing really good with all their videos that I've reacted to. One thing I will say there at the end, he made a very good point. You'll either love this or hate this type of aspect, and I will say I actually enjoy it. I really do. I find when there's almost like a safe house place for the stuff that we're hunting, it makes it a lot more enjoyable, especially because you're getting a chance to see a almost a they're not all bad version, right? You're seeing, hey, this is where they're going, they're nice here, and then whenever you see one that is immediately a problem, you're like, okay, make sure they don't go here. And now I'm wondering if there's ever been a tale of one of these more dangerous ones to ever go there and try causing issues. I think one of the easiest ones that I can really think of trying to go there would probably be 106 or, from what I've heard, the lizard. The lizard's apparently a really big problem. I haven't reacted to it. I really need to. So that one might be coming soon. I know the next video that we're going to be reacting to, SCP All Nines, that one I think people have called it the Tickle Monster. But I feel like that one is, again, another version of a nice SCP, but I don't know if it being allowed in 3 Portlands would be a good idea. But then again, I don't know exactly what it is. So, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Killer Bear. Hopefully, y'all enjoyed this video. If you have, please like, subscribe, leave a comment down below. Also, if you look in the description, you'll be able to see a link to his channel. You'll be able to go over there, show some love, hit subscribe for him, share his video around. My name's Killer Bear. Right here's a video you two think you'll enjoy. Right here's where you can subscribe using my little profile picture, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye!